There is a part of you that is tired of being hurt, a part that keeps waiting for the day when people's words, actions, and opinions no longer have the power to affect you. Maybe you've told yourself that if you are kind enough, patient enough, or successful enough, life will finally become easier. Maybe you believe that if you do everything right, people will stop disappointing you, criticizing you, or taking advantage of you. But that day never comes. Being kind does not guarantee respect. Staying quiet does not prevent conflict, and success does not protect you from criticism. In many cases, it attracts even more attention, envy, and judgment. The truth is that no matter how carefully you live, you cannot control how other people behave. The only thing you can control is how much power you allow them to have over you. If you are looking for a way to protect yourself from every painful experience, you are focusing on the wrong goal. Life will always bring criticism, rejection, disappointment, and loss. No amount of preparation can completely prevent that. Real strength is not about avoiding emotional pain. It is about learning how to face it without losing yourself in the process. Carl Jung believed that much of what affects us operates below the level of conscious awareness. He famously observed that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. In other words, many of our emotional reactions are driven by parts of ourselves we do not fully understand. What you often call pain is not just the result of what someone else did. It is also connected to old fears, insecurities, and unresolved parts of your personality that are being triggered. The more aware you become of those hidden parts, the less control other people have over your emotional state. The reason you are vulnerable is simple. You are predictable. You have emotional buttons that are polished from overuse, and you leave them exposed for anyone to press. Your boss, your partner, the stranger on the internet, they all have a remote control to your internal state. To stop the hurt, you have to take the remote back. You have to stop chasing happiness and understand the concept of the fortress within. Most people spend their lives trying to optimize their comfort. They think happiness is the goal. But Jung warned that the word happiness would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. By chasing happiness, you create a psychological vacuum. You become fragile. Every time life fails to meet your expectations of joy, you feel assaulted. You feel like the universe has a personal vendetta against you. This is the first crack in your armor. Machiavelli understood this from a different angle. He believed it was much safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. In a modern psychological sense, this doesn't mean you should go around intimidating people. It means you should be respected for your capacity to handle chaos. When people know you cannot be rattled, they stop trying to rattle you. Your hurt usually stems from your dependence on external validation. You are searching for a good reflection in a broken mirror. Stop looking at the mirror. The hidden mechanism of your suffering is your own projection. Jung explained that we see in others what we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. When someone insults you and it hurts, they haven't actually done anything. They have simply tapped into a pocket of self-doubt you already possessed. If they called you a blue-headed giraffe, you would laugh because you know it isn't true. But when they call you a failure, or a fraud, or unlovable, you bleed. You bleed because a part of you agrees with them. The disturbing part is that you are an active participant in your own destruction. You provide the weapon, and they just pull the trigger. Shadow work is not about becoming darker, it is about becoming more honest. The shadow contains not only anger, envy, and selfishness, it also contains courage you never expressed, confidence you were afraid to claim, boundaries you were taught to suppress. The shadow contains both the monster and the hero. Once you own your darkness, no one can use it against you. You become a proactive fortress because there are no more internal traitors left to open the gates from the inside. Jung never advocated emotional numbness, he advocated wholeness. True strength is the ability to remain open without becoming defenseless. Perhaps the deepest pain is not what others did to you, it is realizing how often you abandoned yourself. How many times did you remain silent when you wanted to speak? How many times did you say yes when every part of you wanted to say no? How many years were spent trying to earn love that should never have required earning? This realization hurts, but it is also liberating, because what was learned can be unlearned. True safety is the result of internal sovereignty. It is the realization that your internal state is the only thing you actually own. Nietzsche called this the will to power, not power over others, but power over the self. When you stop chasing the phantom of happiness, you stop being a slave to your moods. You stop being a slave to the weather, the economy, and the opinions of people you don't even respect. Most people miss the most important part of Jung's thesis. He wasn't telling you to be a saint. He was telling you that you are a monster and that you need to learn how to control that monster. A man who is incapable of harm isn't virtuous. He's just harmless. He's a sheep. A man who is capable of great harm but keeps his sword sheathed is the one who is truly dangerous and truly resilient, because nobody messes with the man who has a sword. The secret to recovering from wounds isn't to find a better hiding spot. It is to step into the light of your own consciousness. It is to recognize that the person across from you, the one trying to manipulate you or belittle you, is just playing a role in a game you have already mastered. You are currently participating in a behavioral pattern that keeps you small. You apologize for things that aren't your fault. You explain yourself to people who don't deserve an explanation. You seek closure from people who are incapable of giving it. Every time you do this, you drop a brick from your fortress walls. You are literally dismantling your own soul to make someone else feel comfortable. What happens next is what truly matters. You have to decide if you are willing to be the villain in someone else's story so that you can be the hero in your own. Because the moment you start setting boundaries, the people who benefited from you having none will call you selfish. They will say you've changed. They will say you're cold. Let them. Their discomfort is the sound of your walls going up. Machiavelli warned that he who seeks to be good in every way will inevitably come to ruin among those who are not good. This is not a cynical view. It is a practical one. It is the recognition that the human shadow is real. To be resilient, you must understand the shadow of the person standing in front of you. You must see their insecurities, their hunger for status, and their need for control. When you see their shadow, you stop taking their actions personally. You realize they aren't hurting you, they are just expressing their own unresolved trauma. And you are not a garbage can for other people's trauma. The realization that you control your response to pain is actually an existential burden. It means you can no longer blame your parents or your ex or your boss for your misery. A whole person can still be wounded, but they are no longer shattered by every wound. There is no one left to point the finger at. This is the loneliness that comes after you stop needing criticism. It is a quiet, heavy space where you realize that you are the architect of your own reality. Jung wrote that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The fortress you are building is made of that darkness. It is made of the no you finally had the courage to say. It is made of the time you walked away without needing the last word. It is made of the moments you chose your own peace over someone else's drama. If you apply this, your life will get quieter. You will lose friends. You will lose the closeness that was actually just trauma bonding. You will find that many of your relationships were built on the foundation of your weakness. When you become strong, those relationships will collapse. This is the next challenge you will face, the friction of growth. But on the other side of that friction is a version of you that is fundamentally different. You will walk into a room and you won't be scanning for approval. You will be scanning for reality. You will see people for who they are, not for who you need them to be. And because you don't need them to be anything, they lose their power to disappoint you. This is the strategic implication of Jungian thought. When you integrate the shadow, you become a whole person. You can be moved, you can be challenged, and you can be changed, but you can no longer be dismantled. because there is no longer a gap between who you are and who you pretend to be. The lingering hurt only exists in that gap. As you move forward, the world will try to pull you back into the old script. It will offer you the old lures, the need to be liked, the fear of being alone, the chase for fleeting joy. You must see these for what they are. They are distractions designed to make you forget that you are building something real. The next time someone insults you, rejects you, misunderstands you, or attempts to diminish you, pause. Do not ask, "How do I make this stop hurting?" Ask, "What is this revealing about me?" Because every emotional wound points towards something still unconscious. And every unconscious part brought into the light becomes a source of strength. This is the paradox Jung understood. You do not become free by avoiding darkness. You become free by walking through it consciously. The goal was never to become untouchable. The goal was to become whole. If this resonated with you, it's because your shadow is tired of being ignored. It's ready to work for you instead of against you. This journey into the human psyche is a long one, and we are only just beginning to peel back the layers of the games people play. If you want to keep building this fortress within, if you want to understand the dark mechanics of power and the deep wisdom of the masters, then stay here. Leave a comment about the one boundary you are finally going to set today. Let the world know the walls are going up. The truth is, most people are waiting for the world to become a kinder place. They will be waiting forever. The world doesn't become kinder. You just become stronger. The fortress is never finished. Every wound reveals another hidden room. Every confrontation reveals another shadow. Every act of courage strengthens the walls. The work continues, and that is precisely what makes you stronger than you were yesterday.